Beware the rotten eggs, everyone. It's Deep Dive Zone, the Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host, Devin, joined as always by my co-host, Lauren and Bruce, and today we are starting a new series. We're done with Sonic X, and we are moving into Sonic the Comic by Egmont Fleetway Productions.
Heck yes.
This has been a long time in the making.
Yes, this is the Sonic continuity that has eluded all of us, I think, for the longest time. It's, despite its age and legacy, it's just never been one that I've ever checked out, or most people, I think?
This is definitely, my guess, the Sonic continuity that most casual fans may not even know exists. I didn't know it existed until I started this or I started being on this show.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I would say it's probably the most obscure compared to, excluding, old manga stuff that, nobody's heard of.
Yeah, of course. Some of the manga stuff we covered previously is going to, of course, be the most obscure, but, this is the most obscure
for its
mainstream.
Size. Yeah. And interestingly, this is not a comic book. Despite being named that, this was a bi-weekly magazine published from 1993 to 2002. And that's an important distinction because something that viewers are going to need to know is that the way that we're reading this is not entirely how it was published.
Oh, yeah.
Because the way that it was published was every 2 weeks you'd get, an issue of the comic, and it would have a Sonic story in there. The Sonic stories, along with most of the stories, were really, really short. And
yeah,
trying to review this issue by issue would be kind of a nightmare because you'd be essentially jumping from issue to issue with one story each, and that story would be 7 pages long.
Right.
Which is pretty damn short, and it would be very choppy to try and review it that way. And I know because I tried to do that from the start, and I tried to read it that way from the start, and it turned me off immediately. I felt like it was bad.
I can imagine.
So, at one point, somebody took it upon themselves to change this thing. This guy by the name of Daniel Ratcliffe. Not Radcliffe, Ratcliffe, with a T. So he made a script, essentially, that compiles all of your scans into a collected volume. And it was really good. And then he removed it. He deleted the script because he was working on his own rescans that he was going to release. But he's not been done with those for a couple years. So I ended up finding the compiled volumes on a pirated comic site, except they were still incomplete and didn't have the special, so I added them in myself. So we are working off one of the only complete collections of these volume versions that I know of, which I will put on the Internet Archive once it's back up.
Right. I was about to ask if you'd put it up on the Internet Archive or something.
But,
man, this is definitely one of those things that I'm like, if you were living when these were actually coming out and you were following this comic, I can't imagine what the experience would have been like. I mean, it probably was something to the effect of you just kind of looked at it casually and it just built over time. You can't be an avid fan because you'd go crazy.
Honestly, yeah. I cannot imagine keeping up with this when issues would have been coming out.
It was more frequent than Archie, but it was less than a fourth of the length of an Archie comic a lot of the time.
Yeah, because at least an Archie comic is Sonic all the way.
Well, maybe some people had investment in the other stories. We are not going to be reading any of these other SEGA IPs that are in Sonic the Comic.
This is not a SEGA podcast. This is only a Sonic podcast, in case you hadn't figured that out yet.
Well, okay, if they had SEGA IPs that I cared about in here, it's just that I'm not a Shinobi guy, I'm not a Decap Attack. That one ran for a really long time for some reason, etc. But yes, let's go ahead and look at this, because I get the impression, I've always gotten the impression that, Sonic the Comic fans, at least more than, fans of the first half of Archie, treat Sonic the Comic with a little more prestige. A lot of them say it's better than Archie.
I can see, at least, comparing this to early Archie, I can see why you would prefer this.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and start with the first thing in this book, which is not actually the first issue published. There is a prologue comic using the Sonic's World moniker, which was used for a couple other kinds of stories. But this is Once Upon a Planet, written by Nigel Kitching, get used to seeing that name, and Mike Hadley, get used to seeing that artist in the artist seat. And this is a narrated introduction to Sonic's world and his current situation. It's a history lesson.
Yeah.
So wait, when you say this wasn't the first, do you mean it just wasn't like the first proper, or do you mean this came later, or?
I mean, this is a prologue that introduces the world, but it was published in Sonic the Comic number 25.
Okay.
Okay, so this is not release order. Okay.
It will be after this point, but yes.
Right.
Okay, because one of my observations was, this is a weird way to start it off. It's a lot of information. I'm not sure this is the best way to bring people in. So knowing that makes a lot more sense.
This is this is better for us. This wouldn't probably not be a great way to actually start the comic, though. Like
right,
in the
yeah.
90s.
Yeah, mileage may
It is
vary.
nice to have this, though.
You know, I like it. I mean, literally, page 1 here. It goes over some details, and right off the bat, I'm like, oh, this is interesting how it stacks up to Archie, right? So, it's not Earth, it's Mobius, a completely different planet. And the zones are, in fact, just areas and not dimensions. So those two things, one of those lines up with early Archie, one of them lines up with late Archie. It's funny.
I think it actually says that Earth and Mobius are parallel universes, which is hilarious.
Yes.
We just got done with Sonic X.
This does also mean that Earth must exist in some capacity in Sonic the Comic. I wonder if that'll come into play.
I don't know. You know, because that's the other thing. This is the Sonic continuity we have the least familiarity with, because I know a lot of shit about Archie, but nothing about this.
I get to do crazy theories, and Devin just gets to go, I don't know.
Finally, Devin gets to say the words, I don't know.
I don't get to spoil you guys on things. It's tragic. And, we get introduced to Green Hill, and it's really weird, because then we immediately pivot to Emerald Hill. So it's like, what's the point?
Everyone likes Sonic 2 better than Sonic 1, honestly, true.
I mean, yeah, true.
Well, that is part of this, is that part of this recap is establishing that Sonic 1 and 2 happened in this universe. Right. Pretty much as you see in the game.
Right.
On page 2 here, we get a look at Eggman, who has the proper Eggman design. I thought he had the cone head. I know he does later, but I didn't know he had this version at the start.
It's very strange,
I'm not crazy. I thought I remembered seeing art from this comic with Conehead.
You will see Conehead Eggman. The way that we get there is going to be fascinating.
Okay, interesting.
Nice.
I'm always in for fascinating.
Yeah, we get to see a little bit about Eggman and the world, you know. So it's very much, you know, the world's at peace, but then the Egg Nation attacked.
Yeah.
Nothing complex. It's fine.
Yeah.
We get to see some of his minions. We get to see Buzz Bombers. There's a lot of Buzz Bombers in this comic, and one thing that I
can't complain about seeing Badniks.
That's the one thing that I really, really love about Fleetway, is that they keep almost all of the established Badnik designs. They tend to make them chrome, but they use a lot of stuff from the games in that regard.
And that's already an improvement over most of what we've read from Archie.
It also makes it really obvious whenever a design is not from the game.
Oh, yeah.
They don't look the same at all.
Yeah, it's very true to the games in a lot of ways. It's quite impressive, but it does not sacrifice any weirdness along with it. Like when I'm reading here, and I'm like, what? Eggman is based in the Special Zone? Really?
He's hiding out in the Special Zone?
That's a cool idea. I'm curious to see more of it.
Getting here is pretty difficult in Sonic the Comic, but yes, that is where he is right now, and it is going to be important. And speaking of important, and speaking of weirdness, we also learn this is something that you're probably meant to get introduced in their actual first issue, but yes, the Casino Night Zone is being run by these special boys.
It's the Super Marxio Brothers.
The Marxio Brothers?
I mean, we can't avoid some sort of snide Mario reference.
Well, it's also a Marx Brothers reference.
It is also a Marx Brothers reference. Actually, I don't remember. Did early Archie ever do a Mario reference?
There's actually a Pender's scrapped page that would have done it, but there's no actual one in universe.
Interesting. Okay, well, okay.
But yes, mustachioed overalls wearing electricians that I guess these guys are just greedy, but they work for Eggman, and they'll be making some appearances here and there.
Oh, good.
We also get the first hint that there will be, I mean, I expected this, some jabs at the fourth wall, because it seems like the narrator talks, and then the Marxio brothers hear them.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of that is in service of it being an introduction, but yeah.
Well,
Makes sense. It kind of makes sense for an introduction.
Interestingly, we later find out the narrator isn't actually outside of the fourth wall.
That's true.
Maybe there's something to this.
Indeed. We also hear about a little bit about Little Planet and Time Stones, which is basically the same as CD, but good to know that it exists here.
I was not expecting to see that in this intro, so that's cool.
Yeah. They also say it appears every month instead of every year, which is probably more convenient from a writing standpoint.
That's a lot more convenient from a writing standpoint.
We also get a better look at Eggman here, and it becomes clear that, I think you mentioned this before, maybe, he does not have glasses in this design. His eyes are just soulless black orbs, which is honestly quite terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, this is the old Western design thing, is that, on the box arts by Greg Martin, would often depict Robotnik with his classic outfit, but yeah, not understand that he was supposed to be wearing sunglasses.
Right.
And yes, I've never been a fan of that. I mean, I like Eggman being expressive, and they want to play up the fact that he's scary here, and they do. One thing about Sonic the Comic is I feel like it's more consistently good with the artwork, and this story is a good example of that. The design work we'll have things to say about, and certainly we won't be consistently perfect, but
no, but like, it's consistency is important.
Yeah, and it looks pretty good here.
Yeah.
And yes, we do get it. I love this very scary illustration of him with the world in his hands.
Yeah.
But we have a reveal after this, which is that, the narrator's like, Robotnik sucks and Sonic is cool. Also, I am the AI head of Dr. Kintober.
Say what?
Interesting.
So, this is probably the biggest, backstory thing of Sonic the Comic, is that it uses the very first American backstory for Sonic, because...
Right, it uses the Sonic Bible, or parts from the Sonic Bible.
Yes, this is the Kintober backstory, is that, they drafted basically a whole bunch of Sonic world building SEGA of America did back in the 90s, and most adaptations threw it out. Archie, their interpretation of Kintober was just that he changed his name. And even down to some of the other characters in this, like Porker Lewis and Johnny Lightfoot and Joe Sushi. I don't even think Joe Sushi is in this comic. I think he got thrown out first, or became Rotor in any case. Johnny Lightfoot got turned into Bunny. They transed his gender. But yes, Kintober backstory. That's what's important. AI Kintober is here to explain the backstory of Robotnik, where he used to be Dr. Kintober, this thin, frizzy-haired, mustache scientist man who is a good boy. But then the Rotten Egg Nation attacked, I guess.
Well, we'll get to see how he changed later this episode.
Yeah. So
they kind of explain it backwards, because it's...
Little bit, yeah.
He starts with the fact that Porker Lewis built a computer off a talking ring that had Kintober's brain patterns. What?
Yeah, they do allude to the fact, though not in detail, about how Kintober turned evil and then turned into Robotnik. I know I get those from the Bible, so I can't blame the comics for this. But I do have to say that the idea of Robotnik just being turned evil kind of robs them of agency a little bit. I don't like that backstory.
Yeah,
that's a fair take.
If your villain's backstory is that he was turned insane by magic, I would expect them to be portrayed as a victim, at least a little bit. Here I am referencing Adventure Time, my favorite cartoon of all time, but Ice King is a good character because even though he does bad things, he also can't control his wizard brain, so... Yeah, we'll take a more in-depth look at that in a second. We also get to see here, Sonic and Johnny, I guess, and their first encounter with Badniks and Robotnik's plans.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about as Spartan an explanation as you're going to get. Here are some robots, about sums it up, but,
Yeah, not a whole lot to say.
We got Buzz Bombers, we got Splats in the background, who still is not in Sonic 1. I love that media keeps using it even though it's not in the game. Interestingly, they also say that Robotnik has no memory of being Kintober, which makes me wonder how he knows how to build robots and stuff, but...
Well, so I mean, I assume he forgets, like his life and events and stuff.
Right,
He
but
still remembers general scientific knowledge.
right. I think yeah.
Also, that is an interesting plot point. There's potential there, where Robotnik could like uncover their own past over time. That would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. We also get a recap of Sonic 1 here, traveling through the zones, gathering quote-unquote all 6 of the emeralds.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's consistent with Sonic 1. No
Yeah,
problems
that's
there.
Sonic 1.
We're about to have a problem in a second, though.
Yes, the problem with this is that, well, A, all the emeralds are green here for some reason, even though they actually get the colors right pretty quickly, but,
Okay, well, that's good.
one day they start radiating energy like crazy, and when Sonic gets close, he gets supersonic.
Yeah, that's
And
not how
crazy.
that works.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
you need 7, and they usually portray it as 7, but I don't know what
Right.
happened there. And yes, this is our first look at Sonic the comic version of Supersonic, who is,
If you're just seeing it here, then you might not quite understand the full ramifications. He just looks like he's a little stir crazy, maybe. He
Yeah,
doesn't do anything
right. Right now,
like
it's
nuts
not
here.
that weird. He just kind of,
yeah, he loses his chill and bolts out of there.
right.
And he doesn't know what's going on, and when he wakes up, he's in some swamp area, and the emeralds are gone. So that sucks.
Damn.
This is also when he meets Tails, whom he discovers drowning in the swamp.
And thinks it's 2 people.
I love that. That's hilarious.
I mean, there's 2 Tails. What he
I mean, it makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, but he pulls him out, and Tails is a good boy. He looks a little odd in this comic. It's part of the style, but Tails is very sort of round. I don't know.
Maybe kinda.
You'll
Looks fine to
see
me.
in upcoming issues that Sonic will often look like his Western box art self, but Tails will be a little bit. I don't know. There's something different about his design in this comic. But in any case, yes, Tails is here, and that means it's time to recap Sonic 2, complete with Death Egg, Big Robot, and regathering the emeralds.
Hell yeah.
But this time, Sonic is like, I ain't having any of this emerald scattering everywhere nonsense. I'm just gonna hide them in the Arctic.
He just decides you guys aren't going anywhere anymore.
Put him in a cave, and that is, in fact, where they are at the start of this comic, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So as an introduction, yeah, I'm not sure if we needed to do this first. I'm not sure it needed to be first in the thing, but I figure it's just more sensible to start with the first one the volume puts in front of us.
Yeah. No, I mean, this isn't a bad way to start for us. Again, this would be a bad way if that was the first story they had released. Period.
It might have been a little weird, yeah, but that was from issues 25 through 27, and so if you know anything about multiple part stories in this, you know that we'll actually overtake that pretty quickly.
Right.
But let's go ahead and move on to the actual first story, which is Enter Sonic, written by Alan McKenzie and drawn by Anthony Williams. And in the Green Hill Zone, Sonic the Hedgehog frees small animals from the evil Dr. Robotnik and his dastardly Badnik robots. We're starting out really simple here because this is 7 pages long.
Yeah, we kind of have to start simple.
I freaking love this drawing of Eggman on the first page. He looks gleefully evil.
That drawing of Eggman, he looks so good.
Very long.
Very much compared to the drawing of Sonic above him that is a literal sphere.
Yeah, there's contrast there.
It's pretty funny. Yeah, this art is, I wouldn't call it terrible, but it's like you can tell that they were working with a small crew here because you can see that the art is all colored in by marker.
I don't hate the marker look, honestly. It's charming.
It is a perfectly competent artist, but it's very, it's funny just because, it's much more basic than the previous story's artwork.
That being said, also, I can tell a few of these drawings of Sonic are very clearly referenced directly from promotional material.
That is true, yes. But we're starting out very accurate. We're in Green Hill Zone fighting Badniks. Eggman is watching him with his SEGA outfit for now. He has a ring-powered machine that does something. I'm not sure what.
I think it just pollutes.
Robotnik says it'll crush Sonic, but all we really see is...
Hey, but a rock can do that, Eggman. Or, excuse me, Robotnik. You can do that with a rock. Whatever.
Actually, you can definitely call him Eggman, because this is the continuity where half of Eggman's dialogue is... He just has egg puns in it. He says
eggs. That's true, yeah. Yeah, I feel okay sticking with Eggman.
Well, I mean, it's the character either way.
Well, yeah, but, like, I still, generally when referring to America or Western versions of him, I try to call him Robotnik.
Yeah. But Sonic goes to stop it, gets attacked by some Badniks, pops them all open. Very Sonic 1E.
Yeah. Actually, do you know when this story came out?
1992, I believe.
Oh, so this is...
1993, sorry, because Sonic 2 had to be out already by this point.
Yeah, so, okay, yeah, alright. I was just curious what games were out by this point.
So we pop some Badniks, we fall off a cliff, but Sonic shows that he is not fazed by it by spin-dashing up the cliff. Almost falls on some spikes, but then accidentally bounces off a Badnik and manages to both save himself and the pig guy in there.
Well, I mean, you don't grab... Well, I guess you do grab the animals in some Sonic games. But that's a very game maneuver right there.
That is, yeah.
Yeah. And this is sort of a prototype version of Porter Lewis, who will be a more central character, as we saw in the introduction.
Right.
As for right now, he's just some pig kid.
Sure. I mean, it's early. We can just have random characters.
Definitely. And then we fight the tank thing. It's kind of a tank, I don't know. And Sonic spinballs through it with one attack and wins.
It's not just a tank thing. It's a neutrino accelerator, which Sonic declares as he approaches it, like he just knows that by looking at it.
What does that mean? What does it do? It just farts out smog. That's all I've seen it do.
That's actually a good question. What the fuck is a neutrino accelerator?
Gobbledygook, and I love it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's gobbledygook.
But Eggman's like, you haven't seen the last of me, and Sonic's like, yeah, okay. And then he's like, I wonder where Tails is. So we're setting up future stories already, guys. We got continuity, because the next story is going to be him looking for it.
I guess.
Nice.
It is funny to imagine getting this in a comic book in 1993, and then, you get these, and then that's your lot. Wait till 2 weeks from now to get more.
Yep.
I mean, we've got Sonic, we've got Eggman, we've got Rings and Badniks, and maybe that's all you need, but it's...
I mean...
It's fine. We're gonna keep the pace up by going to our second story, which is Robofox, written by Mark Miller, drawn by Woodrow Phoenix. Sonic searches for his friend Tails, only to discover he's been kidnapped by Robotnik. Sonic is ready to save him, but will his friend ever be the same? And, that first drawing sure is something, huh?
This art reminds me of, middle school fan comics.
Yeah, it's a little more rough than the first issue here.
I don't hate it, but it's not amazing.
Yeah. So we're looking for Tails, and this little rabbit guy says everyone got kidnapped by Robotnik, including Tails.
Yeah.
Sonic decides he needs cleats and sunglasses for a task this tall.
I wonder why he needs to disguise himself as Scourge. Wait, wrong comic.
I like this panel of Sonic putting on the sunglasses. I set our server icon to it.
That's probably the best art in this story.
Yeah, it's a very we're 90s and we're trying to be cool. And
yeah,
the name's Sonic. I sort things out. Some buzz bombers attack along the way. I like their exchange here, which is I've got an idea. Let's kill it.
Genius.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that'll do it.
Hey, Sonic does a Badnik bounce. It's funny that a thing that I'm sure these writers never did in the games keeps happening in these comics. Hey, we get a very brief look at this comic's version of Sally Acorn for her very limited appearances.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So she just looks like the animal that you save in the games, but with a bow on top.
So where's that name come from, and why would it overlap like that? Does it come from somewhere else?
So I think what it is, I don't know if the American Story Bible came first or if the manuals came first, but all of these names most frequently appear in manuals for assigning names to the little animals that you free, and then other stories develop those animals into proper characters.
Okay, so that is actually from the Bible somewhere. Interesting.
Yeah, so if you really want to stretch it, you can say that a whole bunch of the Archie and Fleetway cast are still in the games as the tiny animals that you free from Badniks. It's just that they're Picky and Ricky and Pocky.
I'm about to say, those animals also have different names now.
Yeah. Hell, the chicken got changed twice because it's called Clucky now. It was called Cucky for a while, and they were like, wonder if we should change that.
Okay, to be fair, I think that was just a mistransliteration.
In any case, Tails himself is with Robotnik, but oh no, he's been converted into a murderous cyborg. I can't believe we're covering Sonic Lost World already.
Odd.
I don't quite understand this design. It has metal plating go over both of his tails together.
That is weird.
I mean, yeah, that gets rid of his entire his main ability.
Well, and this is not roboticization, because this comic doesn't really have Archie-styled roboticization. It mostly just has Badnik carriers like the games.
Right.
So
no, this is just an exoskeleton, or an exoskeleton.
Well, in some sort of mental implant, because he makes him angry. He's gonna fight Sonic.
Yeah, that's true. And even roboticized, I feel like Tails wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but Sonic fights both Tails and the Wrecking Ball Eggmobile at the same time, so kind of mixing in.
I find it funny that the jump maneuver is called a supersonic spin, even if it's not Sonic doing it.
It's also called that even if it's not spinning.
Yeah, Tails just launched himself at
just kind of headbutts him. And Sonic basically just kind of talks Tails out of this, so the mind control cannot have been very strong.
It's the true power of friendship,
I guess. And then Tails does another not spin attack to headbutt Eggman, which destroys both the machine and the cybernetics. I'm not sure where the Wrecking Ball went.
The Wrecking Ball was destroyed in the process.
Did it have explosives? It's just a big stone ball.
Sure, it blew up.
Well, anyway, Robotnik runs away and makes a joke about then contemporary British soap opera El Dorado.
That's what that was.
Okay, yeah, I didn't understand what that was.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I was like, what the hell is that? So we are not free from cultural references in these comics, although I'll say there's probably less of them than Archie.
Yeah, but it's going to be bad for us because we're not going to get most of them.
They're going to be harder to get because the only British pop culture I know is like Monty Python and Doctor Who. So.
Oh, this should be interesting.
But Tails is safe. Sonic's cleat shoes are destroyed because he was too fast.
Damn.
And we head home. Yeah, I don't know. I guess this had a little bit more than the first story, but it's one of those artists that doesn't quite get how to render Sonic's anatomy and expressions.
We're plenty used to that.
It is not entered like the Ron Lim Ken Pender's Uncanny Valley, though, so...
No, that's true.
Moving right along, we have our third issue, and by third I mean fourth story, Mayhem in the Marble Zone, written by Mark Miller, art by Jose Casanovas. Sonic has to rush to Marble Zone, where Tuffy, whatever, has been captured by Badniks after stealing a pair of Sonic's shoes. And hey, look at how detailed this art is.
Holy crap.
This is good. It's such a stark contrast from last
It is.
Yeah. Look at those Badniks. They're great.
Yeah, they're full color. Some of them are full color.
I mean, they're not great. They're horrible because they're torturing this guy, but...
but they look great.
They're torturing Tufty Chipmunk, who is Sally's younger brother?
Is it younger?
I think he's younger.
Yeah, baby brother.
So, he's also stolen a pair of Sonic's shoes because he thinks that would help him fight the Badniks, and no.
Yeah, because Sonic's power comes from his shoes.
Well, I mean, it sort of does. It's really weird because... They say, Sonic says that his shoes may have residual high-speed energy. Does that mean that his speed leaks out into his shoes?
I mean, that's what that sounds like, so why not?
Supersonic sweaty feet? Gross.
Don't say that.
But, yes, Sonic is busy chilling, listening to his Sony Walkman. But Tails gets his attention by kicking him in the ass.
I'll do it.
Sonic may be an asshole, but Tails can also be an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen Sonic be a rude dickhole in this comic yet, which we will have. But Tails is not making the best first impression. But yeah, they say that Tufty got attacked because he stole some Sonic shoes or whatever, so we're gonna blast through Green Hill, grab some rings for power. Don't know how rings work in this comic yet.
True.
Yeah, rings aren't really well established yet.
But we do know one thing, which is that if you grab too many of them, you can send yourself to a special stage by accident.
I mean, it doesn't quite work like that, but I mean, that is accurate to the games, accidentally going into a special stage.
Yeah, you know what? It kind of is.
Yeah.
I was debating if I wanted to say that or not.
Also, there are 6 Chaos Emeralds in the background. 1 is green, and then 5 are red. And then Sonic also doesn't care about them.
I mean, those can't be Chaos Emeralds because the Chaos Emeralds aren't in the special zone, so they must be different emeralds.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That's weird. He doesn't acknowledge them, so maybe they're just random diamonds. I don't know.
Maybe they're just part of... Yeah, they're just part of the decor.
I mean, special stages have a lot of surreal crystalline imagery anyway.
They do.
So let's go ahead and ignore those. And yes, Sonic's boots do let Tufty temporarily escape, but he runs into a wall. And the Badniks, they laugh at him, and they're like, haha, we're gonna throw you in this thing? Is this a wood chipper? Are they gonna blend this man?
I don't know, but it has a face and it talks, which is weird.
Is that the machine talking? I guess it could. I guess it is.
Yeah, it's got
moving,
a face
and it has an eyeball on it, so...
It won't hurt a bit.
Weird. It's not really a bet. It really does just look like a wood chipper, but either way, he's not going in there because the Badniks are ready to throw him in, but Sonic arrives and pops them all like balloons.
That'd be one hell of a Sonic comic where we get the wood chipper scene.
That's Sonic and Fargo crossover. But, yes, we are in Marble Zone, so one of the crushers with spikes on it comes down towards Sonic. And this is a comic trope that annoys me. It's hardly exclusive to this one. But it moves slow enough for Sonic and Motobug to see and comment on it, but fast enough that Sonic just can't dodge on his own.
And yeah, I don't know how that works, but whatever.
Yeah. It's also strange because Tufty sees and pushes Sonic out of the way.
How's that strange? That makes sense.
Well, Sonic can see and comment on it, but not run away, but the other guy can run from further away and push him. Whatever. It's a minor thing.
You see, Sonic is fast, and that means he has fast, perception of time, so he can perceive the Crusher is coming and comment on it. However, it's still faster than he can actually move.
Maybe. He also pushes the Badnik out of the way, which is good, because they pay attention to not killing tiny animals in this comic, sometimes. Maybe there's times when they don't, but I'm pretty sure they've been okay about it so far.
The thing that I will say is funny here is this is actually kind of our first rude Sonic moment, because Tufty saved Sonic's life apparently, and then Sonic is just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking of trying to keep a counter for rude Sonic moments. I'm actually gonna not do that because A, it would be a lot to keep track of, and B, it's part of Sonic's character in this in a way that I may have misjudged at first. If he is just unnecessarily terrible, I'll still call him out on it. But Sonic making just kind of not off color, but not especially nice comments in regular dialogue that people ignore, I'm gonna try to ignore too, because it's meant to be kind of funny that he just doesn't acknowledge anybody is better than him. But it sure makes him look insecure.
Yeah, well, I assume that's kind of just part of his character.
Yeah.
But yes, Tufty is returned to his sister, Sonic grabs his old shoes back, and the day is saved. Nice art. We get introduced to some characters. I don't think these guys are super prominent. I don't remember them being such, but yeah.
I guess only time will tell.
Indeed.
Yep. And that time is later. For now, we've got Day of the Badniks, written by Nigel Kitching and drawn by Ed Hillier. Rumors spread about Sonic the Hedgehog tearing star posts from the ground. What could be happening? It's up to our heroes to uncover the Badnik conspiracy.
Ah, yes, Sonic the Hedgehog, obviously.
Yes, and this is our first proper story written by Nigel Kitching, who will be one of the big names associated with the series. And yes, we start with two little animal dudes, rough in stripes, watching Sonic. That's not fucking Sonic.
No.
To be fair, they are drawn, in shadow when they're looking at it.
Yes, so I guess if the star post light is getting in the way and obscuring, they just see blue and spiky. But yes, Sonic is... been replaced by a terrifying Badnik doppelganger.
I absolutely love this robotic Sonic design. It's just so bizarre.
It reminds me of something from Invader Zim.
It's because of the zipper teeth. That's what you're...
Yeah, it's primarily the zipper teeth, but it's also the posing.
Yeah, I could see a Richard Horvitz voice actor for this Badnik Sonic. He's creepy looking. I like him.
And I enjoy it.
It's funny because he's also not the personality we normally get from any Metal Sonic, because they all try to be cool. This one just, like, stomps around screaming.
He's crazed. It's fun.
Perfect.
He's better than Pseudo Sonic already. So yeah, Sonic gets word of this and is heading to their location, but not before Ruff and Stripes are nabbed by Badniks of their own.
I did not expect this comic to, like, jump into kind of horrifying so quickly. These are Badniks with large spiked jaws that lash out with
and
metal tendrils, and then absorb the animals in order to power themselves. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we said, these are definitely not game design Badniks, but yeah, kind of cool. So Sonic arrives at the crime scene and he's gonna help him, but Badnik Sonic busts through the wall to fight him. And is really dangerous. He has these different forms. He turns into a spike ball. He can fire off needles.
Spike ball looks so silly. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's kind of a match for Sonic, and Tails is like, I'll help. Oh. He actually gets Sonic grabbed.
Yeah, I mean...
This is the first Pixel Brain, I think, in the comic.
Yeah, I think this is our first Pixel Brain.
Yep. It's going to be Sonic's mean nickname for him for this whole comic. So Tails is left alone against more robots and a non-standard Robotnik design. What is this?
He's in like a metal suit.
Heck, got a metal suit with like a circular thing on the front. It looks a little bit like his Adventures of Sonic outfit because it has the stripes with the circle in the middle, but he's also got a top hat.
The top hat's the weird part.
Yeah.
I don't know why my man decided to dress up, but I'm all for it.
I mean, yeah, why not?
But he also shows off Sonic is basically taken inside of Robot Sonic, like we said, with the metal tendrils. And we've got a metal Tails casing for Tails as well, and it looks hokey as shit, if I'm honest.
He looks like he wants to give Tails a big ol' hug, and I guess he kind of does.
Yeah. But, yes, he's been tearing up star posts since Robotnik is hiding in the Special Zone and wants to control people's access, so...
Right.
This would have been your reveal of that, but for us it's a little bit of continuity already.
Yeah. The star posts are interesting. They have, like, wires coming out of the bottom, so they seem to be artificial. I'm going to make a note of this later. Perhaps some ancient civilization set them up or something?
That's a good, that's an interesting thought, yeah.
And as with before, I don't know. Maybe. But we also see one of the follies of these comics, which is that they only have a few pages each. This comic, sets up, we have a robot Tails body, Sonic is stuck in his robot body. How are we going to get out of this? But we only have a page left, so it turns out Sonic is so strong-willed he just controls the Badnik casing and beats Eggman.
At least give these a couple more pages. Like,
I mean, later they compensate by, like, splitting up the stories, which you could have done here.
Yeah, honestly, as much as we've complained about split stories in the past, in here, I think it makes a bit more sense.
Well,
it's like the perfect cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we're going to be reviewing every part at once, and this is one of the things is that, Archie would split their stories into parts, it's just that it was always within a single issue. This is like if each part was its own issue.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, we beat Eggman, we turn off the other Badniks remotely, and save the day. And... yeah, I wish that it was resolved with a little more time to breathe, but it's still moving forwards. We've still got ideas that other Sonic material took a while to cover, which I guess Mecha Sonic was already a thing at the time of this because of Sonic 2, but still.
Right.
Also, we get our first moment of Tails trying really hard to help and being kind of useless, which I gather will be a recurring thing in this comic. But, fun enough. Let's move along to Lost in the Labyrinth Zone, written by Mark Miller, drawn by Woodrow Phoenix, and oh boy, was it drawn by Woodrow Phoenix.
Ooh.
Tails is captured by Badniks, and Sonic leads a troop of friends through the treacherous Labyrinth Zone to save him. And, yeah, no, it looks bad.
Kinda.
Sonic is testing his speed on a treadmill and is about to eat a giant pile of hamburgers. And I guess there's hot dogs here too, but no chili dogs.
Sacrilege.
Chili dogs aren't really a thing in these comics, if I recall correctly. That
Still
was an Americanization.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Some tentacles come out of the ground to snatch tails?
Yep.
And the culprit is this... What is this? This isn't a regular Badnik.
I
so
think
weird
it's a
looking.
spider bot. Yeah, it's fucking weird looking.
They call it a rackbot, so yeah.
Spider. Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure if it was. I couldn't remember if it was spider bot or a rackbot.
Well, it's strange because we have these seahorse Badniks with it, which don't really look like the ones from Sonic 2, but those are at least a thing in Sonic 2.
Yeah.
I guess they just didn't have reference material or something with appropriate tentacles to do it. But, yes, they take him into Underground, into Labyrinth Zone, closely followed by Sonic and a troop of other guys?
Yeah, just some little fuckers.
Well, I think that's Sally in the background.
Yeah, there's Sally.
Why is anybody coming with Sonic? They're not fighters.
For some reason, we've decided that Sonic can't be alone.
And also that he's going to, like, be sexist and, like, attack Sally's femininity for wanting to come along. You should just be telling her to keep safe.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's the 90s. I have to expect it.
Yeah, it's a...
I don't want to, but... You know.
It's boys rule, girls drool culture, I guess. Which is funny, because people love this comics version of Amy. But,
It's a good thing that we're reading this and not playing it, because the Rackbot mentions, this labyrinth stretches under half the planet. Oh, God. How many acts worth is that?
Oh, God. Don't even make me think about that.
A freaking lot, and... Yeah, Labyrinth Zone hazards ensue. We've got the swinging balls, we've got the arrow shooty dealies. We're not underwater, which is good.
Yeah.
And, hey, a little bit of continuity. Octobot here has Tails' cyborg casing from the second story, and he wants to shove him back into it.
Oh, yeah.
But, Sonic has something to say about that. He's gonna bust in, take down the Seahorse bots.
And we get a little bit of vocabulary for Sonic the Comic here, as a Rackbot is like, ha! You can't change me back because I'm not powered by an animal. I'm a prime Badnik, is what just robots are called, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if we'll see that terminology again, because I don't remember it. It might be in there, and I may just forget it. Because I didn't notate it. But, yeah, Sonic drains the oil from Tails' mech body and lights it on fire?
I mean, why not? Sure.
Well, it both has oil in it and a lighter to light it on fire. It's very odd.
Yeah, it's got a flamethrower.
I guess.
We've seen
but
it
yeah,
before.
the day is saved
that's
as usual.
Not particularly weird.
Everyone goes home. Those other animals didn't do shit, so they definitely should not have come.
I mean, yeah, there's no reason for them to be here.
And we eat all of those fucking hamburgers and hot dogs. And Tails is like, dude, you already ate a bunch. And Sonic's like, I'll eat as much as I fucking want to. I don't know.
He runs fast. He runs so fast that he's got to have a fucking insane metabolism.
Yeah, I'm just gonna not question that.
Yeah,
so, I mean, it's a problem across like all Sonic media. So
we see Sonic eating a lot of stuff pretty often.
Fair enough. So, okay-ish story, I guess. If the art was better, it would be a lot better.
Yeah, it's fine.
And hey, speaking of which, better art. This is Attack on the Death Egg, written by Nigel Kitching, art by Ferran Rodriguez, and look at that, that looks like Japanese Sonic artwork.
That does look like Japanese Sonic artwork.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the artist's name. Is it Kawamura
Yamaguchi,
who did the Sonic 2 artwork? But it looks like it's lifted right from that, so good on you. Sonic and Tails discover that the Death Egg from Sonic 2 is falling from the sky, and quickly take a tour to the sky to save Emerald Hill Zone from destruction.
Hell yeah.
And we are in the disused laboratory of Dr. Kintober.
Yeah, they mentioned that Sonic had an underground base in the like the backstory, the first thing that we did.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's this lab.
They actually are getting information on the Death Egg here, which was, I guess, destroyed off screen, I guess in Sonic 2, I suppose. And it is going to crash into Emerald Hill Zone.
Yeah, there's something very weird going on in this story, and maybe it will come up again later. But the characters do, for now acknowledge... Wait, wasn't the Death Egg destroyed? Why is it there? And it's like the Sonic 2 Death Egg. Well, I guess Sonic 3 hasn't happened yet, actually. Interesting.
I mean, it has, but it hasn't. It's a little weird. It's like... I guess it's that they destroyed most of the Death Egg, but it didn't fall out of space, or maybe, it was still in space due to gravity and now it's falling. Either way, hey look, it's the tornado and Tails is flying it, although they don't say it's a tornado.
That's okay.
That's fine, we know it's a tornado.
But we're heading up to Wing Fortress Zone. Your favorite zone, Bruce.
Oh god.
I am also the opposite of a huge fan.
Well, at the very least, everything is very accurate here. We got the Clucker Badniks, we got the right colors. Sonic runs through the stage like no one. We got the same boss fight with the things that you got to stand on. No bottomless pit fatigue, at least.
That's good, yeah.
I'm confused. Like, did they have to Did somebody say you gotta adapt Sonic 2, but they're not gonna adapt Sonic 2, and they're just gonna run through the pieces of Sonic 2? 'Cause, why is Wing Fortress just flying around, unmanned? Everything's operational.
That is a really good question.
Yeah, I think, it's you got iconography. You should have just explained how it was back up. Because if Robotnik tries to resurrect an old fortress, that makes sense. But they don't say that. It also leaves us with the implication that shuttles off of Wing Fortress are apparently the only way to get up to the Death Egg. Because I guess we just don't have space travel outside of Robotnik.
I think that was the implication, is they didn't have a spaceship, so just steal another one.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, hey, at least they didn't try to take the tornado looking at you, Sonic X.
Well, and what's very funny is they grab that shuttle, and it looks like the same as in Sonic 2 on this page. On the very next page, it turns into a fucking X-Wing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean...
You can't escape the Star Wars ship designs when you're doing a space thing in a comic.
Is that really why the X-Tornado is an X? Is that also an X-Wing thing?
Oh god, is it? That might be.
It doesn't have the rods going off of it in Sonic X, though, which I think is part of the look of those.
Yeah.
But, hey, we're on the Death Egg, and we can see that it is mostly destroyed from Sonic 2. You see bits of rebar sticking out of it.
Yeah.
And we get inside, and hey, we even get Mecha Sonic, who is, again, also mostly destroyed. And talking?
Is the idea really that he just wrecked everything, but he didn't quite destroy anything? It was a very sloppy job in Sonic the Comic.
I guess so.
I don't get it.
Was.
I mean, in Sonic 3, you knock the Death Egg out of the sky in Sonic 2 and it lands on Angel Island Zone, but by the end of that game it's back up, so...
Right.
Oh, so is this a mid-quel between Sonic 2 and 3?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
It's like if Sonic 2, the explosion just didn't do as much as in Sonic 3.
Oh, okay.
But, we fight Mecha Sonic, and Sonic knocks its head off.
Man.
And then we're like, well, what are we going to do with this? And Sonic's like, I know, I'll steer it into the ocean.
Not the best idea. Well, depending on how big it is, it's not the best idea.
It is quite big, so you'd think that would create a few tsunamis, but...
You'd assume so.
I don't know. I wonder where the biggest waves... what the biggest a wave can be in a part of the ocean that is, away from any land, such that you could have something that big, but just not hit anything.
Well, I don't know, size of wave, but I do know, at least on Earth, there's the point of Nemo, which is where NASA deorbits things. That's, it's the farthest away you can be from any large groups of human population.
Yeah,
and I would assume that's also, so you don't potentially cause a tsunami or something, or a small tidal wave.
Yeah, but they're not bringing down space stations the size of cities, so...
No! Even when we deorbit the ISS, that's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, so he steers the Death Egg into the ocean, sends Tails off with the only escape pod?
I mean, Sonic, he's Sonic's little buddy.
I guess. Tails sees the crash and thinks that Sonic just did a heroic sacrifice. But Sonic was actually hanging on the back of this escape pod?
Yeah.
I do like the gag when he's He gave his life so that Emerald Hill folk might live. He was the bravest hedgehog ever I met. And then Sonic's like, not to mention the coolest, bluest, and fastest thing on legs.
Yeah, it's a very 90s writing of the character. But then we follow that up with, Sonic, you're alive, and you're still stating the obvious, I see. So he's like shit-talking him, even though it's like, thought you were dead, man. This one is not that bad, but, yeah. I think what it is, and this is not really that much of a problem as I was saying, I think my issue is less going to be that Sonic is a dickhead, and more that the story sides with him and presents him as completely infallible.
I mean, yeah, I don't like that, but as long as the other characters can be dickheads to Sonic as well, I'll put up with it.
Fair enough. Moving swiftly along, though, we have Super Sonic. Awesome. It's not like the Stat AM episode, which is named Super Sonic, but doesn't have Super Sonic. This one is written by Nigel Kitching and drawn by Richard Elson, who is another of the big Sonic the Comic names. During an effort to clean up Oil Ocean Zone, Sonic is placed in such danger that the ring energy in his body overreacts and goes berserk.
Yeah.
And look at that artwork. It is pretty nice.
Yeah.
This is the name, Richard Elson, that people associate most with Sonic the Comic, and it's because he worked the closest with Kitching and drew a lot of the big stories.
Okay.
And yeah, it's detailed, it's punchy, and we're in Oil Ocean Zone.
Sticking to the material.
It's on fire for some reason. I guess someone ran through here in Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
Apparently, after Sonic 2, they sent in a cleanup and firefighting team, which is this lion man who, we talked about how in Archie a lot of the women looked like human bodies with Sonic character heads. That happens for a lot of men in this comic.
Yeah, we got the opposite in this comic.
Not for a degree of sexualization most of the time. I mean, maybe you're these characters. I'm not.
I mean, someone might be, but...
Yeah. But, they're having trouble with some of the danger in this zone, and Sonic is obviously happy to help. Brings out the big blue tornado move? Sonic Heroes? I don't know. Actually, Sonic does this in fucking everything, so it's fine.
Yeah.
That's...
But they're safe, but not for long, because, hey, it's the Seahorse Badniks I was talking about. Still not quite looking like they're supposed to, but definitely closer. I don't remember them being equipped with flamethrowers in Sonic 2, though.
I think they are in Mania.
Really?
I think.
I thought they just shot bullets.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Maybe not. It's been a few months since I finished Mania, so...
Yeah.
Actually, maybe it's been a year.
In any case, Sonic is fighting, but he's getting stuck in the oil, and he keeps sinking deeper and deeper, and gets a huge blast of fire sent his way. So, he's dead. Tails
Another fake-out death.
We get a lot of fake-out deaths.
It's fine if it's just to have a dramatic reveal, because from the danger, from the flames emerges Super Sonic. No Chaos Emeralds required? ?
Yeah, I was like...
that's
what?
Huh? This has got to be... I'm assuming this is like a one-time thing.
Really? Well, me not knowing much about the comic, I assumed, okay, that's just how it works. He can just turn super.
So that's what I was thinking, but, like, we've already seen the Chaos Emeralds turn him super also.
I don't remember
maybe
how
that just involuntarily makes him super.
Maybe?
This might be
this was
early
also
installment weirdness, and it might be something we're differently. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is just early installment weird. Yeah. This is just inconsistencies. It's fine.
But, yes, this is our real introduction to Sonic the Comic Super Sonic, who is distinguished from Game Sonic in that he has red swirls for eyes and is completely battle-hungry. All he cares about is power.
He's psychotic.
People call him evil Super Sonic, but he's not quite evil. It really is just that he's just crazy.
He's crazy. He's not evil.
Yeah, the way he seems to operate is sees anything, attacks it instantly.
Yeah, he just seems to really just want to fight.
He loves destruction.
Which, I mean, I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, I mean, he goes after the Badnik, and he destroys it, which is good. But then he goes after the little dude inside it, too.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a cool idea. I want to see more of this.
Yeah. And I wish we could, but unfortunately, again, these stories have very little pages, so
Yeah.
Tails and Lion Firefighter Guy come to help, and he's ready to attack them too, but Tails reminds him, hey asshole, don't do that. And he just remembers what's going on, so he
He's like,
snaps out
oh
of it.
shit, that's right, I'm not supposed to kill you.
I hope that doesn't just work every time in the future, because that makes it pretty easy, actually, to deal with.
It does.
It really is just a here is the way this concept works in the comic, rather than a do anything crazy with it. But I do like the idea. I've always loved the idea of Supersonic being really dangerous, as I've mentioned a couple times.
Yeah, and the concept is solid.
Yeah, and it keeps, it keeps Sonic from just, like, relying on it at any point.
Right.
And in a way, it pays homage to its namesake, because, the original concept for Super Saiyajin was that it was overflowing with so much power that Goku had to stop himself from just attacking his son when he first got it.
Right, well, and that also goes into I know a lot of people compare this version of Supersonic to Broly.
Yeah, who just can't control it.
I don't know much about Dragon Ball, but isn't it true that they can just turn Super Saiyan at will whenever they want to?
Initially, no. Later on, basically.
Yeah, initially Goku had to be enraged to do it.
Right.
Although it's not long.
It's kind of like this, then.
It is, yeah.
It's not long between that and him getting control over it. I guess there's a weird time skip, but it's like a few chapters before Trunks shows up and is just like, hey, I can do it easily.
Well, to be fair, Trunks has an excuse to be able to do it.
No, I know,
he's been training, so...
Well, and that's the thing, is that Goku did too. He was on Yardrat.
Right.
But, anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, just a little introduction. And, oh god, it's time for Brownick, you guys. This is the origin of Sonic, Nigel Kitching and Richard Elson. Sonic takes Tails, Johnny, and Porker to the Special Zone to uncover the secrets of how all this Robotnik business got started in the first place.
Now I know what to call this Brown Sonic, other than just Sonic.
So yeah, we're going into the Special Zone where we know Robotnik has been hiding out, but they kind of don't acknowledge that. They just say, "Oh, it's the Special Zone, so it can be scary."
Sure, I mean, yeah.
Also, this star post is enormous.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, why is the star post huge?
It looks cool.
It does look cool, but...
But, yes, so he's going in here, he's taking Tails, Porker, and Johnny with him, which we don't really know much about Porker or Johnny yet, but they will eventually become part of Sonic's Freedom Fighter group in these comics.
Mm.
But we go in, it's the half-pipe from Sonic 2, but Sonic's like, yeah, the Chaos Emeralds aren't here, I'm keeping them out of here. Which might lead you to question.
Why did they even go in here?
What did they come here for? And the answer, best I can tell, because he says, okay, we're here, is a floating TV screen with a face.
Yeah.
Oh, right, they do actually explain. It's because he's too lazy and doesn't want to tell the story himself.
Yes. This is a really weird thing that they've added to the comics, but this guy is a friend of Sonic's somehow, and this is the Omni-Viewer. He is like a god of the dimension or something?
Something like that.
It's super weird.
He says he's omnipotent, but I think they mix that up with omniscient.
I think it is supposed to be omniscient, yeah.
Yeah, because omnipotent is that you exist everywhere. Omniscient is just that you know everything.
No, you're thinking of omnipresent. Omnipotent is the ability to do anything.
Oh, okay. That's too many omnis. Anyway, yes, so he is an angry god until he realizes it's Sonic, at which point he's totally benevolent and cordial. I don't know when these two met. I guess during Sonic 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assumedly.
Yeah.
But yes, in any case, Sonic is here so that the viewer can show Tails, Porker, and Johnny how all this got started.
Right.
And, yes, this is our proper exhibition of the Kintober backstory.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
And, yeah, it's Brownick.
Yeah, he just kind of crawls up out of a sewer grate.
I don't know what he was doing. He just kind of accidentally stumbles into this lab.
Yeah, I
guess Sonic goes where Sonic pleases?
That seems right.
That is definitely Sonic.
But yes, he was a quote-unquote regular brown hedgehog, but it's the lab of Ovi Kintober. I hate that. I hate that it's just the name but backwards. I don't know if I've mentioned that.
That is a little stupid.
but he's thin, he has hair, some of it at least, and Sonic is his usual rude self. He also calls himself the fastest hedgehog on Mobius, so apparently he had that reputation before he was powerful.
Well, so wait a minute. Did he act? Does this? I shouldn't jump ahead, but what happens to him? Does it make him more powerful? I thought it just changed the way he looked.
I think it gives him his super speed because he's not wearing his regular sneakers here.
No, so the way I understood this is he was already fast, but he wasn't super fast.
Yeah, I assumed it was.
Oh, okay. So he was already.
Because like
the fastest.
The threshold for fastest hedgehog can't be that high.
Yeah, might just be a very, very good runner.
Yeah, and then with the shoes, and then being made blue, those combined made him super fast.
Wait, you're arguing there's the shoes and the color in tandem that causes his power?
Yes, blue is the speed color.
Alright, well, in any case...
Wait, actually...
As it happens, Kentober's plan was to siphon the idea of evil, I guess, out of the world in its entirety?
Okay.
Yes.
So, I shouldn't have such high standards. The comics are kind of silly right now. They might always be a little silly, I don't know. But I know there's at least some serious plot lines later. But, okay, yeah, he's just sucking up the evil. Great! That, you just came up with the super basic... How do you make him evil? He just sucks up the evil. Okay, great.
Yeah, well, I mean, if anything can contain all of the world's evil, I would bet that the Chaos Emeralds could. Unfortunately, he only has 6 instead of 7. You need all 7, buddy.
Well, yeah, because having all 7 makes his machine unstable.
Yeah, it's all... The machine is handling this really, really volatile. So clearly, the correct course of action is to test your speed-granting sneakers on this hedgehog boy.
Ah, yes, you know.
So,
I mean, hey, if Sonic consents to it...
I guess it is, in part, the shoes, but maybe their power goes into Sonic, which is why when it explodes he's blue?
Sure.
Alright, I guess. It's sort of a middle ground between the shoes give him speed and he gets his speed by having the shoes give him speed, but then he just keeps it.
Yeah, they don't really explain it well. He just kind of runs too fast, and then he turns blue.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that hasn't happened to you.
It's very funny because I remembered, you know, when I heard about the Kentober backstory, I assumed that, you know, this was one incident that made Kentober into Robotnik and Sonic into Sonic, but no.
Well, I think in the Bible that is the case.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, we've got this split into 2 separate lab accidents, which just makes him look incompetent.
It does kind of make Dr. Kentober look like an idiot.
Well, so, I mean, yes, but, I mean, this is the guy that is, in part, what makes up Robotnik, so...
True.
It's not so far-fetched, actually.
Robotnik makes a lot of ill-advised decisions, so...
Yeah.
But, yes, we have the moment, which is... Sonic's like, give me some food, but then the fridge is empty, and it's like, oh, all that's in here is 1 rotten egg.
Been in there for 6 months, Jesus Christ.
Which Kentober apparently intends to still eat?
Yeah, just a little salt.
No problem.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
I mean, look, we never said Kentober was that good of a guy. He may still be an idiot.
That's hilarious. Is that
he's an idiot.
Kentober, like, he never actually turned evil. He just found an excuse.
He's like, finally, I can be the asshole I've always wanted to be.
You're confusing evil with just kind of mania.
Yeah, he definitely seems like
he was always a mad scientist, just not necessarily a bad one.
Yeah, he's definitely like the crazy scientist here.
But yes, he trips on a loose cable and falls on the Chaos Machine, which explodes.
Fucking idiot.
It drains all of the world's evil out of the Chaos Emeralds and directly into Kentober, and conveniently reverses all the letters on his name tag.
This art of Eggman looks fucking rad.
He's so scary, I love it.
He's huge, he's imposing. I fucking love it.
It is very good. And as much as the rest of the backstory... Well, even this part is also ridiculous, but I do kind of actually like that Eggman is literally part egg.
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny.
And that's how it happened, everybody. This is how we got the
Yay.
Dr. Ivo Robotnik we all know and love to hate.
Yay.
And that's the end of the backstory, but in the main story, the present-day Robotnik uses the Omniviewer somehow to absorb Sonic and friends and teleport them into the future?
Yep.
We're doing Sonic 06 already.
Well, he didn't use the Omniviewer, he told the Omniviewer to do it.
Well, I assume Omniviewer didn't want to do it, though.
Yeah, but he states Eggman basically has control over everything in the special zone.
Hence my phrasing of used.
Yeah, okay, fair.
So, yeah, that's our backstory issue. We've said enough about how it kind of robs him of agency. I think part of it is just that Eggman is very predictable if you're saying that he's always evil all the time forever.
Yeah, it's a bit boring, but I mean, on the if I try to appreciate something about it, I guess I can say that we're setting up that Eggman is just pure evil.
Yeah, and
looking forward to that.
Archie Robotnik is the evilest motherfucker on the planet, and we like him.
That's true. That is true. There's nothing redeemable about Archie Robotnik.
Yeah, and it's pretty to look at, and it also establishes that Robotnik is, in a way, an old friend of Sonic's, which we could do something with in terms of character writing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But for now, it is our last story of the night. Back to reality. Nigel Kitching and Richard Elson. Sonic and friends arrive home to find they're not in the distant future, but something is still different. So, Omniviewer resists Robotnik's control. He does not throw them into the far future, but into Emerald Hill, and he's like, yeah, Robotnik just told me to get rid of Sonic, which I interpreted vaguely to let you survive.
The best kind of interpreting.
But what's different? And these two Badniks arrive to get in the way to get our answer. And these ones are huge. They've got metal muscles and skull faces.
They remind me vaguely of Crocbot.
Kind of, yeah.
They got a little bit of that Crocbot energy, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're definitely different, and they're strong too. Sonic is having a lot of trouble keeping up. He only really manages to win by getting them to shoot each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say, he does the smart thing and makes them kill each other.
But they pop those, animals come out, and they are shocked to see him. Why might that be? Well, we weren't set super far into the future, but we were sent 6 months into the future.
I mean, that's still fairly far.
Well, it's given time for things to change.
Exactly. A lot can happen in 6 months, especially in a Sonic universe.
Yeah, I mean, that's how long Sonic Forces happens.
Yeah, there you go.
Actually, that's a very similar plot point now that I'm thinking of it. But, yeah, apparently Omni did this so that Sonic would be far enough into the future Robotnik would be fooled, but close enough that he'd still be able to repair things.
Smart.
But as we see here, there is a lot of work to do. Emerald Hill has become an Orwellian surveillance state.
Oh boy.
As they're running that way, the dog guy is like, "Be careful, Sonic. Things have changed while you're away. And Sonic is just like, "Buddy, if you knew me better, you'd know that I was never careful." Like, what? Is that supposed to be a positive trait in his mind?
Yeah.
I like the floating camera drones here that are just eggs with cameras sticking out of them.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, this page of Eggman Land, I guess, is pretty great.
Eggmerald Hill Zone? Not quite, but we've also got robot stormtroopers.
Heck yeah.
And I mean that as in they kind of have a sort of a German army thing going on with
them. They have
drones.
a bit of a Wehrmacht look.
Yeah.
I was thinking 40K, which also makes sense because it's British.
I mean, sure, but yeah. And I read this page and I thought to myself, what's the difference in a kind of Nazi-ish allegory going on here versus in Pender's comics? And I think the difference is just that they never try to write them as anything other than goons to be destroyed, which is probably the correct use of Nazis in fiction.
Yeah.
But these ones are not Badniks. Sonic can tear through them without having to worry about hurting anyone inside.
Yeah, they're just whole-ass robots.
Do they say Prime Badnik here? I'm checking.
No,
I don't think so.
they just
No.
bolded it in the other story, so I assumed it was like an actual term.
Yeah.
But maybe I was
Yeah.
wrong, and that was the only time.
Yeah,
they
it
ever
just
used
says it's all right. These soldier badniks are just robots. There's no one inside.
Yeah. But this, in fact, sets the status quo for the series, which makes it very fitting that it's our last story of the day. Because Sonic pledges to Eggman's egg camera that he's going to save the world, but Robotnik says,
yeah.
I already own the world, motherfucker. We're back in Archie Sat AM territory here, essentially.
I mean, yeah, it's a
Nice.
good setup.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
it gives the heroes progression, sort of. How much of the
exactly.
world have we taken back?
Yeah, it's a solid setup for a comic, and I mean, yeah, Archie fumbles it a lot, but it also doesn't fumble it a lot.
So, that is the end of our first week of coverage of Sonic the Comic. What do you guys think so far?
I like the comics, but their short length is making it really hard to take meaningful notes.
Yeah, definitely. It will
I'm
be,
enjoying them so far. They're really interesting.
It'll be a lot
Yeah,
better once we get multi-parts.
Yeah, once we get multi-arts, it'll be a lot easier to take meaningful notes. Still, though, the comics themselves are good.
I mean, early Archie was not amazing, and there was kind of just a lot of silliness
Early Archie
and jumping
feels,
around. This
uh,
has some silliness, but it feels a little stronger, actually.
it feels stronger. Well, because like we're getting actual plot. Early Archie feels a lot like a newspaper comic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's funny because with its length, I was kind of expecting this to feel like that as well.
there actually were a series of British newspaper comics set in this. I don't know, set in this continuity, but they were called Sonic the Comics.
Right. I think we've talked about those, or we've talked about how
There's
to
not a
cover
lot
those.
to cover about them, so I don't know if
Exactly,
we'll
yeah.
ever do a video on them. Maybe we will.
Yeah.
Do a bonus
yeah.
episode or something.
But yeah, we're taking
Yeah.
ourselves more seriously, more quickly, and
Yeah.
we've already got established continuity. We've already had a shift in
love that.
status quo, even.
Yeah, I love that. Archie took like 10 or 15 issues to start really feeling like it got going. This is already feeling like it's gotten going.
Which, in fairness, we have already covered more than 10 issues worth of stories in this single episode. But
Well, yeah, but it's the equivalency of the amount of
the
of
page
writing we've
count
covered.
is
And
much
like,
quicker.
yeah, exactly. It's like this is already feeling stronger.
Yeah. So, off to a good start, I would say.
Yeah.
We've seen some good and bad artwork. I would say this comic in general probably has more good artwork than bad, which definitely sets it apart from a lot of Archie.
Oh yeah.
We've got our Sonic, we've got our Eggman Tales, and next week we will get some original comic ideas, so we're already going to get into some interesting stuff.
Interesting.
But that is going to be saved for next time. For now, that is where we're going to cut it off for tonight. So, thank you two for joining me, and thank you to all of our viewers for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, criticism, or feedback, you can find us at any of the links in the link tree in the description. I hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next week for another Sonic the Comic video. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and take care.